Once upon a time, in a quaint seaside village named Misty Cove, there lived a boy named Finn. He was an adventurous soul, with tousled brown hair and bright blue eyes that sparkled like the ocean on a sunny day. While other children played on the beach, building sandcastles and collecting shells, Finn spent his time dreaming of grand adventures on the high seas. Finn's fascination with pirates began when he was just a little boy. He would sit on the shore, listening to the tales spun by the old fishermen who gathered at sunset. They spoke of fierce battles, hidden treasures, and legendary captains. One story, in particular, captured Finn's imagination, the tale of Captain Blackbeard, a ruthless yet charismatic pirate who had once terrorized the seas. One stormy night, after listening to one of these tales, Finn made a vow to himself: he would become a pirate. He spent the following days crafting a makeshift pirate ship from old crates and driftwood, naming it the Sea Serpent. With his trusty sword, a wooden stick he had carved himself, he sailed the imaginary seas, battling imaginary foes and searching for lost treasure. As he grew older, Finn's dreams of piracy only intensified. He would often sneak away from home, exploring the rocky cliffs and hidden coves of Misty Cove, convinced that one day he would find a treasure map hidden in a bottle washed ashore. His parents, although supportive of his imagination, worried about his obsession. "Focus on your studies, Finn," his mother would say. "You can't live your life chasing dreams." But Finn was determined. On his 16th birthday, he received a gift that changed everything: a weathered old book filled with maps, stories of legendary pirates, and sketches of fantastical islands. One map, in particular, caught his eye, a map leading to a mysterious island called Skull Isle, rumored to hold the greatest treasure of all. With newfound purpose, Finn decided to set sail for Skull Isle. He spent weeks preparing, gathering supplies, and learning about sailing from the village's old captain, a grizzled man named Captain Greaves. Finn learned how to read the stars, tie knots, and navigate the unpredictable waters. Captain Greaves was skeptical at first, but seeing Finn's passion, he reluctantly agreed to help him. One crisp morning, Finn gathered his supplies, donned a bandana, and set sail on the Sea Serpent. As he drifted away from the safety of Misty Cove, he felt a mixture of excitement and fear. The sea was vast and unpredictable, but Finn's heart raced with the thrill of adventure. Days turned into weeks as Finn sailed through tumultuous storms and serene waters, each day bringing new challenges. He battled fierce winds, navigated through thick fog, and even encountered a pod of dolphins that playfully raced alongside his ship. Finn kept his eyes peeled for any sign of Skull Isle, determined to prove himself as a true pirate. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Finn spotted a distant silhouette. His heart raced. It was an island. As he approached, he realized it was indeed Skull Isle, with its jagged cliffs and lush greenery. Finn anchored his ship and prepared to explore. The island was shrouded in mystery. Dense forests covered the landscape, and strange noises echoed through the trees. Armed with his wooden sword and the treasure map, Finn ventured deeper into the island, following the clues that promised to lead him to the treasure. He climbed steep hills, crossed narrow bridges, and navigated through caves that seemed to stretch endlessly. After hours of searching, Finn arrived at a clearing where a massive, ancient oak tree stood. The map indicated that the treasure was buried beneath its roots. With renewed energy, Finn began to dig, his heart pounding with anticipation. Suddenly, his shovel hit something hard. He uncovered a rusty chest, adorned with intricate carvings. Finn's hands trembled as he pried the chest open. Inside, he found gold coins, sparkling jewels, and ancient artifacts that shimmered in the dappled sunlight. He couldn't believe his eyes. He had done it. He had found the treasure. But as Finn reveled in his victory, he heard voices approaching. A group of rough-looking men emerged from the trees, pirates. They were led by a fearsome captain named Red Jack, known for his merciless nature. Finn's heart sank. He was outnumbered and outmatched. Thinking quickly, Finn decided to use his wits rather than fight. "This treasure is cursed," he shouted, trying to sound convincing. "It brings misfortune to those who take it. You'll never escape this island if you disturb it." The pirates paused, glancing at each other with uncertainty. Finn seized the moment and pointed to a path that led deeper into the forest. "If you leave now, you might escape the curse. But if you take the treasure, you'll be trapped here forever." To Finn's relief, the pirates, wary of the curse, chose to flee into the woods, abandoning their pursuit. Finn watched them disappear, his heart racing not just from the thrill of adventure, but from the narrow escape. He realized that being a pirate wasn't just about treasure, it was about courage, cunning, and the choices he made along the way. After ensuring the coast was clear, Finn carefully reburied the treasure, believing it was best left undisturbed. He returned to the Sea Serpent, setting sail for home with a newfound understanding of what it meant to be a pirate. He had faced danger, navigated through fear, and learned that sometimes, the greatest adventures come from the journey itself. When Finn returned to Misty Cove, he was welcomed back with open arms. The villagers listened in awe as he recounted his tale, not just of treasure, but of bravery and cunning. Finn knew he had become a true pirate in spirit, even if he never wore the title. As he sat on the beach, watching the sunset with the waves lapping at his feet, Finn smiled. His dreams had come true, not just through treasure, but through adventure, friendship, and the courage to follow his heart. He realized that the spirit of a pirate was within him, and that was a treasure far greater than gold. Once upon a time in a small, vibrant town called Willow Creek, there lived a girl named Rose. Rose was known for her vivid imagination and an eye for beauty. She would often sketch dresses in her notebook, drawing inspiration from the flowing rivers, the blooming flowers, and the colorful birds that flitted about the town. However, despite her passion for fashion, she had no idea how to bring her designs to life. One sunny afternoon, while wandering through the town's bustling market, Rose stumbled upon a quaint little shop called Stitches and Dreams. Intrigued by the colorful fabrics and the smell of fresh cotton, she stepped inside. The shop was filled with bolts of fabric in every color imaginable, shimmering threads, and the rhythmic sound of a sewing machine. Behind the counter stood an elderly woman named Mrs. Bennet, who was known as the best seamstress in town. Rose's heart raced as she approached Mrs. Bennet, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Excuse me, ma'am, but I want to learn how to make dresses. Can you teach me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Mrs. Bennet looked at her with kind, twinkling eyes. "Of course, dear. But it takes patience and practice. Are you ready for that?" Rose nodded vigorously, her determination shining through. Mrs. Bennet smiled and invited her to return the following day to start her lessons. The next morning, Rose arrived at the shop, her heart fluttering with anticipation. Mrs. Bennet greeted her warmly and led her to a small sewing station equipped with a sewing machine, fabric scraps, and an array of colorful threads. "Let's start with the basics," Mrs. Bennet said, showing Rose how to thread the machine and prepare her fabric. Days turned into weeks, and Rose learned the art of sewing. At first, she struggled with the simplest of stitches, often finding herself frustrated. But Mrs. Bennet's encouraging words and patient guidance kept her going. "Every mistake is a step toward learning," she would say, reminding Rose to embrace the process. As Rose's skills grew, so did her confidence. She began to experiment with different patterns and styles, creating unique designs that reflected her personality. Mrs. Bennet encouraged her to think outside the box, often reminding her that fashion was about expressing oneself. One day, Rose had a brilliant idea for a dress inspired by the cherry blossoms that lined the town square. She envisioned a flowing gown adorned with delicate petals. Excited, she shared her idea with Mrs. Bennet, who was thrilled by the concept. "Let's make it happen," she exclaimed. They spent days sourcing the perfect fabric, selecting soft pinks and whites that mirrored the blossoms. As Rose cut and stitched, she poured her heart into the dress, each seam a reflection of her dedication. When it was finally complete, Rose could hardly believe her eyes. The dress was everything she had imagined and more. Mrs. Bennet suggested that Rose showcase her creation at the upcoming Willow Creek Festival. Nervous yet exhilarated, Rose agreed. She spent the following weeks preparing, designing a small collection inspired by her surroundings, from the rivers to the gardens. With Mrs. Bennet's help, she crafted several beautiful pieces, each one a testament to her growth and creativity. On the day of the festival, Rose set up a small booth adorned with her dresses. The vibrant colors and unique designs drew people in, and soon a crowd gathered to admire her work. Rose felt a rush of pride as she explained the inspiration behind each piece, her confidence radiating with every word. As the sun began to set, Rose received an unexpected surprise. A local boutique owner approached her, impressed by her collection. "I'd love to feature your designs in my shop," she said, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Rose could hardly believe her ears. This was the opportunity she had always dreamed of. With Mrs. Bennet by her side, Rose accepted the offer, her heart brimming with joy. The following months were a whirlwind of creativity and success as her designs gained popularity. Rose continued to learn and grow, always returning to Mrs. Bennet for advice and inspiration. Years later, Rose became known as one of the most talented designers in the region. She opened her own boutique, where she not only sold her dresses but also offered sewing classes to inspire other young girls who shared her passion. Mrs. Bennet often visited, beaming with pride at the girl she had once taught. Rose never forgot her roots. She created a scholarship fund in Mrs. Bennet's name to help girls in Willow Creek pursue their dreams in fashion. Every year, during the festival, Clara would display a special collection inspired by the cherry blossoms, honoring the journey that began in that little shop. And so, Clara's love for dressmaking not only fulfilled her dreams but also sparked the creativity of many others, weaving a tapestry of inspiration throughout Willow Creek for generations to come. Once upon a time in a small village, there lived a boy named Leo. He was 10 years old and lived with his grandmother, whom he affectionately called Nana. Their cozy home was nestled at the edge of a dense forest, where the trees whispered secrets and the wind carried stories of old. Nana was a kind-hearted woman with silver hair and sparkling blue eyes that reflected the wisdom of her years. She had raised Leo since he was a baby, teaching him everything she knew about nature, kindness, and the importance of family. The two shared a bond that was as strong as the roots of the ancient oaks surrounding their home. Every morning, Leo would wake to the smell of freshly baked bread wafting through the house. Nana had a talent for baking, and her bread was the best in the village. Leo would eagerly help her knead the dough, his small hands working alongside hers as they shared laughter and stories of the past. One autumn morning, as the leaves turned shades of gold and crimson, Leo discovered an old, dusty book in the attic. Curious, he pulled it down and opened its brittle pages. The book was filled with tales of adventure, magic, and mysterious creatures that lived in the forest. One story caught his eye. It was about a hidden treasure, guarded by a wise old owl deep within the woods. Excited by the idea of a treasure hunt, Leo rushed to show Nana the book. "Look, Nana. There's a treasure in the forest. Can we go find it?" he asked, his eyes wide with wonder. Nana chuckled softly, her eyes twinkling. "Ah, my dear Leo, treasures come in many forms. Sometimes the journey is more important than the treasure itself." But Leo was determined. After breakfast, he packed a small satchel with some bread, a water bottle, and a notebook to jot down his findings. With Nana's blessing, he set off into the forest, heart pounding with excitement. The forest was alive with sounds, the rustling of leaves, the chirping of birds, and the distant babble of a brook. As Leo wandered deeper, he remembered Nana's stories about the forest, about how it was filled with both wonders and dangers. He made sure to stay on the well-trodden path, keeping his eyes peeled for any signs of the treasure. Hours passed, and just as Leo began to think he might have to turn back, he stumbled upon a clearing. In the center stood an enormous, ancient oak tree, its branches stretching wide like welcoming arms. Leo felt drawn to it, and as he approached, he noticed a small, wise-looking owl perched on one of the branches. "Hello, young one," the owl hooted softly, its golden eyes watching him intently. "What brings you to my domain?" "I'm looking for a treasure," Leo exclaimed, feeling both excited and a little nervous. The owl tilted its head, contemplating. "Many seek treasure, but few understand what it truly means. What do you hope to find?" I want something magical, something that will change my life. Leo replied earnestly. The owl nodded slowly. Very well. To find the treasure you seek, you must first prove your heart is pure. Answer this riddle: what is light as a feather, yet the strongest force in the world? Leo thought hard, memories of his time with Nana flashing through his mind. Love, he finally said, a smile spreading across his face. Love is light as a feather, but it can move mountains. The owl's eyes sparkled with approval. You are wise beyond your years, young Leo. The treasure you seek is not gold or jewels, but the love you share with others and the kindness you spread. Remember this as you continue your journey. With that, the owl flapped its wings, creating a gentle breeze that lifted Leo's spirit. He realized that the true treasure was the bond he had with Nana and the memories they created together. Thanking the owl, Leo made his way back home, a sense of warmth filling his heart. When he returned, Nana was waiting for him on the porch, her expression a mixture of concern and relief. I was beginning to worry. Did you find what you were looking for? She asked, her voice gentle. Leo hugged her tightly, filled with gratitude. I found something even better than treasure, Nana. I learned that love is the most magical thing of all. Nana smiled, her eyes shimmering with tears of joy. Oh, my dear Leo, that is the greatest lesson of all. You are my treasure. From that day on, Leo and Nana spent even more time together, sharing stories, baking, and exploring the wonders of the forest. Leo often thought of the wise owl and the riddle, realizing that the real treasure was in every moment they spent together, filled with love and laughter. As the seasons changed, Leo grew, but the bond he shared with his grandmother only deepened. He learned to appreciate the little things, the sound of rain on the roof, the smell of fresh bread, and the warmth of a hug. Years later, when Leo became a young man, he would often return to that clearing in the forest, sitting beneath the old oak tree, reflecting on his childhood. He would remember the lessons learned and the treasure found in love and kindness, cherishing the memories of the time spent with his beloved Nana. And in the heart of that forest, the owl watched over them, a guardian of wisdom and love, knowing that true treasure is found not in riches, but in the bonds we create with those we hold dear. Once upon a time, in a small town nestled between rolling hills, lived a girl named Mia. From a young age, Mia was fascinated by the stars. Every night, she would sit on her porch with her telescope, gazing up at the vast sky, dreaming of what lay beyond. Her walls were adorned with posters of astronauts and rockets, and she often filled her notebooks with sketches of spaceships and planets. Mia's passion for space was ignited by a visit to a science museum when she was 8. She marveled at the exhibits on the solar system and listened intently to stories about astronauts who had walked on the moon. That day, she decided she wanted to become an astronaut. She wanted to explore the mysteries of the universe and maybe even discover new worlds. As Mia grew older, she devoted herself to her studies. She excelled in science and math, knowing these subjects were crucial for her dream. Her parents encouraged her, taking her to stargazing events and buying her books about space exploration. They often reminded her that her dreams were within reach, as long as she worked hard and stayed determined. In high school, Mia joined the science club, where she met other students who shared her passion. They conducted experiments, visited planetariums, and even organized a project to build a model rocket. Mia took on the leadership role, inspiring her friends to aim high. They all believed that one day, they might be able to touch the stars. As graduation approached, Mia faced a critical decision: which college to attend. She knew she wanted to study astrophysics, so she applied to several universities known for their strong science programs. After much anticipation, she received an acceptance letter from her dream school, a prestigious university with a renowned astronomy department. Overjoyed, she celebrated with her family, feeling one step closer to her goal. College was a whirlwind of classes, late-night study sessions, and exciting research projects. Mia thrived in her courses, fueled by her passion. She joined clubs focused on space exploration and even secured an internship at a nearby space center. There, she worked with scientists and engineers, learning about rocket technology and space missions. One summer, Mia had the opportunity to attend a space camp. It was a week filled with simulations, hands-on activities, and lectures from real astronauts. On the last day, they took a field trip to a launch site, where she stood in awe as she watched a rocket being prepared for launch. The experience was exhilarating and solidified her desire to be an astronaut. After completing her degree, Mia applied to graduate school to further her studies. She focused on aerospace engineering, knowing it would enhance her qualifications for a career in space exploration. During this time, she faced challenges, including rigorous coursework and research demands, but she remained steadfast in her commitment. Eventually, she graduated with honors and began applying to space agencies. Rejections came, but Mia persevered. She took jobs related to aerospace, gaining experience and making connections in the industry. Each setback only fueled her determination. She volunteered for community events, sharing her love of space with younger students, hoping to inspire them as she had been inspired. Years later, Mia received the email she had long awaited. She had been selected for an astronaut training program. Overjoyed, she could hardly believe her dream was coming true. Training was intense, involving physical challenges, simulations, and learning about spacecraft systems. She pushed herself harder than ever, drawing on her years of preparation and determination. After months of rigorous training, the day finally arrived for her first space mission. As she boarded the spacecraft, Mia felt a mix of excitement and nerves. She looked out the window as the countdown began, her heart racing. When the rocket launched, she experienced the thrill of weightlessness and the breathtaking view of Earth from above. In space, Mia and her team conducted experiments and took breathtaking photos of the universe. Every moment was a reminder of why she had worked so hard. When she returned to Earth, she was a changed person. Her journey had not only fulfilled her dream but had also given her the chance to inspire others. Back in her hometown, Mia shared her story at schools and community events. She encouraged children to pursue their dreams, no matter how distant they seemed. She reminded them that determination, hard work, and a little bit of courage could take them anywhere, even to the stars. And so, Mia, the girl who once gazed at the stars from her porch, became a beacon of hope and inspiration for all who dared to dream. Once upon a time in a small town, there lived a little boy named Oliver. He was 7 years old, with bright blue eyes and a wild mop of curly hair that seemed to have a life of its own. Oliver loved adventure, and he filled his days with games of pretend, building forts in his backyard, and exploring the woods behind his house. But more than anything, he wanted a puppy. As Oliver's birthday approached, he spent hours dreaming about what it would be like to have a furry friend. He imagined a little golden retriever with floppy ears, a wagging tail, and a playful spirit. He could see himself teaching the puppy tricks, going on long walks, and sharing snacks in the sunshine. Every night, he would whisper his wish to the stars, hoping they would carry his dream to his parents. The night before his birthday, Oliver could hardly sleep. He lay in bed, tossing and turning, imagining the surprise that awaited him in the morning. When he finally drifted off, he dreamed of puppies playing in a field of flowers, their barks echoing with laughter. When dawn broke, Oliver sprang out of bed, heart racing with excitement. He dashed downstairs, where his parents awaited him with a warm breakfast and balloons. They sang happy birthday, and he felt a rush of joy, but his heart still yearned for his one true wish. After breakfast, they headed to the living room, where a pile of colorful presents awaited. Oliver's eyes sparkled as he tore through the wrapping paper, discovering toys, books, and a brand new skateboard. Each gift was exciting, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. Finally, with one last box left, his parents smiled knowingly. "This one is special," his mom said. Oliver's hands trembled with anticipation as he carefully unwrapped it. Inside was a soft blanket, but it felt oddly alive. Confused, he looked at his parents, who exchanged glances filled with anticipation. Suddenly, the blanket moved, and out popped a little golden retriever puppy, its big brown eyes shining brightly. Oliver gasped, his heart soaring with joy. The puppy wiggled out, its tail wagging furiously, and it bounded over to Oliver, licking his face. He laughed, the sound ringing with pure delight. "Happy birthday, Oliver," his parents cheered, watching the boy and puppy embrace. In that moment, all his dreams came true. He named the puppy Max, and from that day on, they were inseparable. Oliver and Max spent their days exploring the woods, playing fetch in the backyard, and snuggling during movie nights. The two were a perfect pair. Max's boundless energy matched Oliver's adventurous spirit. They built forts together, with Max always the lookout, and created games that would last for hours. As the seasons changed, Oliver learned important lessons from Max. When the puppy was scared during a thunderstorm, Oliver comforted him, realizing how important it was to be there for those we love. When Max got into mischief, stealing a sock or digging in the garden, Oliver learned the value of patience and forgiveness. One sunny afternoon, they ventured into the woods to explore a new path. Oliver led the way, excited to discover hidden treasures. As they wandered deeper, they stumbled upon a small creek, sparkling in the sunlight. Oliver knelt to let Max take a drink, and in that moment, he felt a rush of gratitude. He thought about how lonely he had been before Max came into his life. "Let's always go on adventures together, buddy," he promised, scratching Max behind the ears. The puppy wagged his tail in agreement, and they splashed in the water, their laughter echoing through the trees. As the years went by, Oliver and Max faced challenges together. When Oliver started school, he felt nervous about making new friends. But every time he returned home, Max was there, wagging his tail, ready to welcome him back. The unconditional love of his puppy gave Oliver the confidence to make new friends and explore new activities. On his 12th birthday, Oliver reflected on how much had changed since that magical day when he received Max. The little puppy had grown into a loyal companion, always by his side through thick and thin. They had experienced everything from joyous days at the park to quiet evenings curled up together, sharing secrets. One day, as Oliver and Max sat on the porch watching the sunset, he realized that Max had taught him about love, responsibility, and the importance of friendship. "I'm so glad I wished for you that year," Oliver said, looking into Max's trusting eyes. The puppy rested his head on Oliver's lap, and in that moment, they both knew their bond was unbreakable. Years later, as Oliver prepared to leave for college, he looked back on their many adventures with a bittersweet feeling. He had grown into a young man, but Max would always be the little puppy who filled his life with joy and companionship. As he packed his belongings, he made sure to include a few toys for Max, ensuring that their adventures would continue, no matter where life took him. With Max by his side, Oliver felt ready to embrace the world, knowing that the bond they had formed would last a lifetime. And so, their story of friendship and adventure continued, a testament to the magic of a little boy's birthday wish and the puppy who became his best friend. Once upon a time in a small town called Willow Creek, there lived a girl named Mia. From a young age, Mia was captivated by the sport of basketball. She would often watch games on TV with her father, who had once dreamed of becoming a professional player. He would explain the rules and strategies, and Mia would hang on to his every word, imagining herself on the court, making game-winning shots. Mia's obsession grew as she got older. She practiced every day, dribbling the ball down the cracked pavement of her neighborhood and shooting hoops at the local park. Her friends played too, but they often got distracted, leaving Mia to hone her skills alone. The sound of the ball bouncing echoed her determination, each thump a reminder of her dream. As she entered middle school, Mia tried out for the school basketball team. Nervous but determined, she performed her best during the tryouts. The gym was buzzing with energy as coaches assessed the players. Mia showcased her speed, agility, and shooting skills, and by the end of the session, she felt hopeful. When the roster was announced, Mia's heart raced. Her name was on the list. Overjoyed, she celebrated with her father, who promised to help her practice every evening. Mia's passion was infectious, and soon, her father was organizing drills, teaching her advanced techniques, and sharing stories from his own playing days. However, the reality of competitive sports quickly set in. As a freshman, Mia faced older, more experienced players. During her first game, she struggled to keep up and missed several shots. After the game, she sat alone in the locker room, her heart heavy. Was she really cut out to be a champion? But Mia refused to give up. She poured herself into her training, waking up at dawn to run laps and spending hours in the gym. She watched game tapes of her favorite players, studying their moves and learning from their mistakes. Each setback became a lesson, and every challenge only fueled her determination. By her sophomore year, Mia was more focused than ever. She made a pact with herself: she would not let fear of failure hold her back. In the off-season, she joined a local summer league, where she faced players from different schools. The competition was fierce, but Mia thrived on it. She began to earn respect from her peers, proving that she was not just another player. She was a force to be reckoned with. As junior year approached, Mia set her sights on the state championship. Her team had the potential, and she was determined to lead them. Every practice was intense, and every game was a battle. Mia found herself stepping into a leadership role, encouraging her teammates and pushing them to strive for greatness. But the road was not easy. During one crucial game, Mia twisted her ankle while driving to the basket. The pain was sharp, and tears blurred her vision as she hobbled off the court. The doctor advised rest, but Mia couldn't bear the thought of missing the championship. She fought through the pain, attending practices on crutches and cheering her team on, determined to return for the finals. Finally, the day of the state championship arrived. The gym buzzed with excitement, fans packed the stands, and the air crackled with energy. Mia had trained hard to recover, and as she stepped onto the court, she felt a mix of nerves and adrenaline. The game was tough, with both teams showcasing their skills. As the clock wound down, the score was tied. Mia knew this was her moment. With seconds left, she found herself with the ball, her teammates surrounding her, watching with hope in their eyes. She took a deep breath, recalled her training, and focused on the basket. With a quick move, she dribbled past her defender and launched a shot. Time seemed to freeze as the ball sailed through the air. Swish! The net rippled, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Mia's heart soared as her teammates lifted her in celebration. They were champions. That night, Mia lay in bed, reflecting on her journey. She realized that being a champion was not just about winning, it was about resilience, teamwork, and the love of the game. She had transformed from a young girl dreaming of greatness to a player who understood the true essence of basketball. From that day on, Mia continued to inspire others, sharing her story and encouraging younger players to pursue their dreams. She knew that with passion, hard work, and a little bit of heart, anyone could become a champion.
Once upon a time, in a small town nestled between rolling hills and a sparkling river, there lived a girl named Clara. Clara was 16, with an insatiable curiosity and a heart full of dreams, but she found herself at a crossroads. As she approached the end of high school, the looming question of her future weighed heavily on her mind. What career should she choose? Clara was an excellent student, excelling in a variety of subjects. She loved the thrill of science experiments in the lab, the beauty of crafting poems in English class, and the excitement of painting in art. Her teachers often praised her for her creativity and analytical thinking, but the more she was encouraged, the more overwhelmed she felt. Each possibility seemed to open a door to a different life, but with each door she considered, another set of questions emerged. As summer approached, Clara decided to take a break from the pressures of school and venture into the world to explore her interests. She spent her days volunteering at the local animal shelter, where she discovered a deep love for animals and a desire to help them. Yet, when she thought of becoming a veterinarian, doubts crept in. What if she couldn't handle the medical side? What if she had to put a beloved pet to sleep? Next, she enrolled in a photography class, where she learned to capture the world through her lens. The thrill of snapping the perfect shot filled her with joy, and she dreamt of becoming a professional photographer. However, the thought of the unstable income and the competitiveness of the industry made her hesitate. Would she really be able to make a living doing something so unpredictable? Clara's best friend, Lily, was determined to pursue a career in engineering. She often shared her excitement about designing innovative structures and solving complex problems. Inspired, Clara tried her hand at coding and robotics, finding it intriguing but ultimately feeling that the rigid structure of engineering wasn't for her. One afternoon, Clara sat by the river, sketchbook in hand, feeling the weight of her indecision. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting golden rays over the water. Suddenly, an idea sparked in her mind. Instead of trying to narrow her choices, what if she explored them all? Why couldn't she pursue multiple passions? With renewed energy, Clara set out to combine her interests. She enrolled in workshops and summer camps that offered a taste of various careers. She joined a writing group to hone her storytelling skills, attended art classes to refine her painting techniques, and took part in science fairs to experiment with new ideas. Each experience brought new insights and connections. At a local art exhibit, she met an environmentalist who spoke passionately about using art to raise awareness about climate change. Inspired, Clara began to see how she could merge her love for art and science, envisioning a career where she could create compelling visuals to promote environmental causes. As the school year started again, Clara felt a sense of purpose. She began working on a project that combined photography, painting, and writing to tell stories about endangered species. With each photo she captured and each story she wrote, she felt more aligned with her true self. However, self-doubt still lingered. What if her chosen path wasn't stable enough? What if she couldn't make a difference? Clara sought advice from her guidance counselor, who encouraged her to reflect on what truly mattered to her. Clara, the counselor said gently, life is not about fitting into a single box. It's about exploring, growing, and following your passion. Sometimes, the best path is the one you carve out for yourself. With those words in mind, Clara started to embrace the uncertainty. She began to share her project online, creating a blog where she documented her journey and showcased her art. To her surprise, the response was overwhelmingly positive. People resonated with her stories, and she even received offers to collaborate with local environmental organizations. As she neared graduation, Clara felt a mix of excitement and fear. She still didn't have a single career path in mind, but she had discovered a multitude of possibilities. Instead of feeling confined by her indecision, she felt liberated by it. On graduation day, Clara delivered a speech about the importance of following one's passions and embracing the unknown. She encouraged her classmates to explore their interests without fear of choosing wrong. As she stepped off the stage, she felt a wave of relief wash over her. She realized that life was a series of explorations, not just a destination. In the years that followed, Clara pursued a path that was uniquely her own. She became an advocate for wildlife conservation, using her art to inspire others and promote environmental awareness. While she didn't follow a traditional career path, she found fulfillment in every project and connection she made. Clara learned that it wasn't about choosing a single career, it was about creating a life that reflected her passions. And in that realization, she found her true calling, not just as an artist, but as a storyteller, a conservationist, and a beacon of hope for others lost at their own crossroads.
Thomas Edison. Known for inventing the light bulb, Edison faced numerous failures before achieving success. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His perseverance exemplifies how determination can lead to groundbreaking achievements. The Relentless Traveler. A young man named Sam traveled to an English-speaking country. Despite speaking little English, he engaged with locals, practiced daily, and embraced mistakes. Over time, his confidence grew, and he became fluent, finding new opportunities in life. The Determined Woman. Maria, a single mother, wanted to learn English to help her children. She attended evening classes and practiced at home. Her dedication paid off when she secured a better job, which allowed her to provide for her family and set a great example for her kids. The Overcoming Fear. John was terrified of speaking in public. He joined a local speaking club where he practiced his English in a supportive environment. Gradually, he built his confidence, eventually giving presentations in English and inspiring others to overcome their fears. The passionate reader. Lisa loved stories but struggled with English. She started reading children's books, gradually moving to more complex literature. This not only improved her language skills, but also reignited her love for reading. These stories show that persistence, passion, and practice can lead to success in learning English. How to be successful. A story. Once upon a time in a small town, there lived a young woman named Maria. She dreamed of becoming a successful artist, but her journey was filled with challenges. Maria faced many rejections when she submitted her work to galleries. Instead of giving up, she learned from each experience. She took art classes, sought feedback, and practiced every day. Her perseverance started to pay off when she received her first acceptance into a local exhibition. As she gained confidence, Maria networked with other artists and attended workshops. She realized that success was not just about talent, but also about building relationships and learning continuously. One day, Maria had an opportunity to showcase her work in a prestigious gallery. She prepared tirelessly and presented her art with passion. The exhibition was a success, and she received praise from critics and collectors alike. Maria's story teaches us that success is a journey filled with hard work, resilience, and the willingness to learn from failures. By staying determined and open to growth, anyone can achieve their dreams. First class. I walked into my first English class, feeling nervous. The teacher greeted us with a smile and started with simple phrases. Slowly, I began to understand basic greetings, which boosted my confidence. 2. Watching movies. I started watching English movies with subtitles. At first, I struggled to keep up, but soon I began to recognize words and phrases. This made learning enjoyable and helped improve my listening skills. 3. Language exchange. I joined a language exchange group. Meeting native speakers was intimidating, but they were patient. Speaking with them helped me practice conversational skills and learn colloquial expressions. 4. Reading books. I picked up a few children's books in English. The simple language and illustrations made it easy to follow along. Each new word I learned felt like a small victory. 5. Online courses. I enrolled in an online English course. The structured lessons and interactive quizzes kept me engaged. I appreciated the ability to learn at my own pace. 6. Writing a journal. I started keeping a daily journal in English. Writing about my day helped me practice vocabulary and grammar. Over time, I noticed my sentences became more complex. 7. Listening to music. I began listening to English songs and reading the lyrics. Singing along helped improve my pronunciation and made learning fun. I also discovered new vocabulary through the lyrics. 8. Using language apps. I downloaded a language learning app. The daily exercises and flashcards made it easy to practice vocabulary on the go. I enjoyed tracking my progress. 9. Traveling abroad. I traveled to an English-speaking country. Immersing myself in the language was challenging but rewarding. I learned to communicate in real-life situations, which built my confidence. 10. Joining a club. I joined an English book club. Discussing books with others not only improved my speaking skills, but also deepened my understanding of the culture and context behind the language. Here are 10 tips for improving your English through storytelling. 1. Read short stories. Start with simple stories to build comprehension. 2. Listen to audiobooks. Hearing the narration helps with pronunciation and intonation. 3. Summarize stories. After reading, write or speak a summary in your own words. 4. Retell the story. Practice retelling stories to improve your fluency. 5. Use story prompts. Write your own stories using prompts to spark creativity. 6. Join a storytelling group. Share and listen to stories with others to enhance your skills. 7. Analyze characters. Discuss characters' motivations and actions to deepen understanding. 8. Create visual aids. Use drawings or diagrams to illustrate the story's plot. 9. Focus on vocabulary. Note new words and phrases as you encounter them in stories. 10. Write your own stories. Practice writing in English by creating your own narratives. These tips can make learning English through stories both enjoyable and effective. Learning English in Canada, a journey of growth. Once upon a time, Maria, a young woman from Brazil, dreamed of learning English to expand her opportunities. She decided to move to Canada, a country known for its diverse culture and excellent language programs. Upon arrival, Maria enrolled in an immersive English language school in Toronto. The school offered classes with native speakers, focusing on conversation skills, grammar, and vocabulary. Maria was nervous but excited to make new friends and practice her English daily. Every morning, she attended classes where teachers used engaging activities like role-playing and group discussions. Maria found that participating in these interactive lessons helped her overcome her shyness and gain confidence. She also discovered the importance of listening. Understanding various accents became a vital part of her learning experience. Outside the classroom, Maria immersed herself in Canadian culture. She joined a local book club, where she practiced her reading skills while discussing literature with others. On weekends, she explored the city, visiting museums, parks, and markets, which allowed her to apply her language skills in real-life situations. Maria also made friends from different countries, forming a supportive community. They practiced English together, shared their cultures, and even cooked traditional meals from their home countries, creating a rich exchange of languages and experiences. As months passed, Maria's English improved significantly. She felt more comfortable speaking, writing, and even understanding Canadian humor. By the end of her year in Canada, she not only mastered the language but also built lasting friendships and unforgettable memories. Maria returned to Brazil with newfound confidence and a love for the English language. Her journey in Canada taught her that learning a language is not just about grammar and vocabulary. It's about connection, culture, and personal growth. And so, Maria's adventure showed that with determination and the right environment, anyone could learn English and thrive. Here's a story about how I learned English in Canada. When I arrived in Canada, I knew that learning English was essential for my integration. At first, I felt overwhelmed, but I was determined to improve my skills. I enrolled in an intensive English course for beginners. The classes were engaging, with friendly teachers who encouraged participation. We practiced everyday conversations, which helped me gain confidence. I also made friends from various countries, motivating me to speak English outside the classroom. Every day, I listened to English music and watched TV shows with subtitles. This not only improved my listening comprehension, but also expanded my vocabulary. I explored the city, interacting with locals in shops and restaurants, which provided real-life practice. Over time, I noticed I could communicate more fluently and that people understood me better. The key was not to be afraid of making mistakes and to stay open to learning. After several months, I felt comfortable speaking English and had made lifelong friends. Today, I am grateful for the experience of learning English in Canada, as it not only improved my language skills but also opened many doors in my personal and professional life. To learn English quickly, consider these effective strategies. 1. Immerse yourself. Surround yourself with English through movies, music, and podcasts. This helps you get used to the language naturally. 2. Practice speaking. Engage in conversations with native speakers or language exchange partners. Speaking regularly builds confidence and fluency. 3. Use language apps. Apps like Duolingo, Babbel, or Rosetta Stone provide structured learning and practice opportunities. 4. Expand vocabulary. Focus on learning new words daily. Use flashcards or vocabulary lists and try to use new words and sentences. 5. Read and write. Read books, articles, or blogs in English. Keep a journal to practice writing. It reinforces what you learn. 6. Set goals. Establish specific, achievable goals, like learning a certain number of words per week or having a conversation for 10 minutes daily. 7. Take classes. If possible, enroll in an English course for structured learning and guidance from a teacher. 8. Be consistent. Dedicate time daily to practice. Consistency is key in language learning. By combining these methods, you can significantly improve your English skills in a shorter time. The Starfish Story. A man was walking along a beach when he noticed a boy throwing starfish back into the ocean. The man asked, "Why are you doing this?" There are thousands of starfish. You can't save them all. The boy replied, I can save this one. He picked up another starfish and tossed it back into the sea. This story reminds us that even small actions can make a significant difference. The bamboo tree. A farmer planted a bamboo seed. For 5 years, he watered and nurtured it, but nothing appeared. In the 5th year, the seed finally sprouted and grew up to 90 feet in just 6 weeks. The moral is that success often requires patience and perseverance. Sometimes, growth is happening beneath the surface before it becomes visible. Thomas Edison faced many failures. Sure. Here are a few motivational stories in English. The starfish story. A man was walking along a beach when he noticed a boy throwing starfish back into the ocean. The man asked, Why are you doing this? There are thousands of starfish. You can't save them all. The boy replied, I can save this one. He picked up another starfish and tossed it back into the sea. This story reminds us that even small actions can make a significant difference. The bamboo tree. A farmer planted a bamboo seed. For 5 years, he watered and nurtured it, but nothing appeared. In the 5th year, the seed finally sprouted and grew up to 90 feet in just 6 weeks. The moral is that success often requires patience and perseverance. Sometimes, growth is happening beneath the surface before it becomes visible. Thomas Edison faced many failures before inventing the light bulb. When asked about his countless attempts, he famously said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. His determination teaches us that failure is a part of the journey to success. The Two Wolves. An old Cherokee told his grandson about a battle between two wolves inside everyone. One wolf represents anger, jealousy, and fear, while the other embodies love, kindness, and joy. The grandson asked, Which wolf wins? The old man replied, The one you feed. This story emphasizes the importance of nurturing positive thoughts and emotions.
Once, in a small town, lived a girl named Mia who had a fear of heights. Every time she walked near the edge of a hill or looked out from a tall building, her heart raced, and she felt paralyzed by anxiety. This fear kept her from joining her friends on hikes and adventures. One day, Mia's school organized a field trip to a nearby mountain. Excited but terrified, she hesitated to sign up. After talking to her best friend, Alex, who encouraged her to face her fears, Mia decided to go. On the day of the trip, as they climbed the winding trail, Mia felt her anxiety creep in. When they reached a lookout point, she could see the valley below, and her heart raced. Alex noticed her distress and suggested they take it one step at a time. Let's just take a few small steps closer, he said. Mia nodded, focusing on her breathing. With each step, she learned to ground herself, reminding herself of the beauty around her rather than the height. As they neared the edge, Mia felt a mix of fear and excitement. She looked down and gasped, but then turned to Alex. Can I hold your hand? He smiled and took her hand. Together, they stepped to the edge. Mia closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them. The view was breathtaking, the lush green valley, the distant river shimmering in the sunlight. For the first time, she felt a sense of wonder rather than fear. See? Alex said. You did it. Over the next few weeks, Mia practiced facing her fear. She climbed stairs, stood on her balcony, and eventually went to a local climbing gym. Each small victory built her confidence, and with Alex's support, she learned to enjoy the thrill of being up high. Months later, the school organized another hike, this time to the summit of a taller mountain. Mia felt the familiar flutter of anxiety but remembered her journey. She shared her story with her classmates, encouraging them to face their own fears. When they reached the summit, Mia stood at the edge, her heart racing, not with fear, but with exhilaration. She realized that overcoming her fears was not about eliminating them, but learning to embrace and manage them. In that moment, she felt a sense of freedom and strength she had never known before. From that day forward, Mia became an advocate for facing fears, inspiring others to take their own steps toward overcoming what held them back.
Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a young girl named Maya. She dreamed of becoming a doctor, but her family faced many hardships. Despite this, Maya worked hard in school, often studying late into the night by candlelight. One day, her teacher noticed her determination and encouraged her to apply for a scholarship. With her teacher's support, Maya submitted her application, pouring her heart into her essay about her dreams and challenges. Weeks later, she received a letter. She had been awarded the scholarship. Overjoyed, she worked even harder in her studies, often helping her classmates along the way. Years later, Maya graduated from medical school and returned to her village as a doctor. She established a clinic to provide free health care to those in need, inspiring many young girls to follow their dreams. Maya's story teaches us that perseverance and support can overcome any obstacle, proving that with determination, we can achieve our goals and make a difference in the world.
Once in a small town, there lived a young artist named Mia. She had dreams of showcasing her paintings in a grand gallery, but her lack of confidence held her back. Every day she painted in her tiny studio, pouring her heart into her work, yet she never dared to share it with anyone. One evening, while wandering through the town, Mia stumbled upon a community art exhibition. Inspired, she decided to take a leap of faith. With trembling hands, she submitted her favorite piece, a vibrant landscape that reflected her dreams. The day of the exhibition arrived, and Mia stood nervously by her painting. To her surprise, visitors were drawn to it, captivated by the emotions it evoked. A local art critic approached her, praising her talent and offering to feature her work in a larger exhibition. Mia realized that taking that first step had changed everything. Her confidence grew as she continued to create and share her art. Eventually, she held her own exhibition, filled with people who admired her journey. Through her story, Mia learned that the only limits are the ones we impose on ourselves. By believing in her talent and taking risks, she transformed her dreams into reality, inspiring others to do the same. How to be happy. Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a young woman named Clara. Despite her beautiful surroundings, she often felt unhappy. One day, she decided to seek advice from the village elder, known for his wisdom. Clara approached him and said, "I want to be happy, but I don't know how." The elder smiled and replied, "Happiness is not found. It is created. Let me share a few secrets." First, he advised her to practice gratitude. Each morning, write down 3 things you are thankful for. This will shift your focus to the positive. Clara took his advice and soon noticed a change. She felt lighter and more appreciative of her life. Next, the elder suggested connecting with others. Spend time with friends and family, share laughter, and support one another. Clara organized a small gathering, and the joy she felt during that time was unforgettable. She realized that relationships were vital to her happiness. Finally, he told her to pursue her passions. Find what brings you joy and make time for it. Whether it's painting, gardening, or reading, do what you love. Clara began painting again, a hobby she had neglected. With each brushstroke, her happiness grew. As time passed, Clara transformed her life. She learned that happiness comes from within and is nurtured by gratitude, connection, and passion. From that day on, Clara became a beacon of happiness in the village, inspiring others to seek their own joy. And so, she lived happily ever after. Flexion. This story reminds us that happiness is a choice and can be cultivated through simple, meaningful actions. Sure, here's a motivational story about learning English in Canada. When Maria first arrived in Canada, she felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. The bustling streets of Toronto were alive with people speaking English, and she often felt lost in translation. Having studied English back home, she knew the basics, but communicating effectively seemed daunting. Determined to improve, Maria enrolled in an immersive English course. The first few weeks were challenging. She struggled to understand native speakers and hesitated to participate in class discussions. But every day, she reminded herself of her goal, to connect with others and embrace her new life in Canada. One day, her teacher announced a group project. Maria was nervous, but she partnered with 2 classmates. They spent hours working together, and she realized how much she could learn from their conversations. They encouraged her to share her thoughts, and gradually, she found her voice. Outside the classroom, Maria sought out opportunities to practice. She joined a local book club, where she read and discussed novels in English. At first, she felt intimidated by the vocabulary, but with every meeting, her confidence grew. The supportive environment allowed her to express her opinions and ask questions without fear of making mistakes. One afternoon, she volunteered at a community event. As she greeted visitors and engaged in conversations, Maria felt a sense of belonging. She was no longer just a learner. She was part of a community. The smiles and friendly exchanges fueled her motivation even further. Months passed, and Maria's English skills improved significantly. One day, while chatting with a friend at a cafe, she realized she had effortlessly switched to English without even thinking about it. That moment was a turning point. She felt empowered and proud of her progress. Looking back, Maria understood that her journey was not just about learning a language. It was about overcoming fears, making connections, and embracing new experiences. Canada had not only taught her English, but it had also shown her the value of persistence and the joy of community. Today, Maria confidently navigates her life in Canada, sharing her story with others who are just beginning their own journeys. She often reminds them, every step counts. Embrace the challenges, and you will find your voice. I hope this story inspires you on your language learning journey. Sure. Here's a story about learning English with tips included. Title: My Journey to Learning English. When I first arrived in Canada, I was determined to learn English quickly. I knew that immersing myself in the language was the best way to achieve this. Tip 1. Join intensive classes. I enrolled in an intensive English course. The classes were every day and focused on speaking, listening, and grammar. The teachers were native speakers, which helped me learn the correct pronunciation. Tip 2. Practice speaking with locals. Outside of class, I joined a language exchange group. I met Canadians who wanted to learn my language. Practicing with them not only improved my speaking skills, but also built my confidence. I learned to ask questions and have conversations about everyday topics. Tip 3. Use media to learn. To enhance my listening skills, I started watching English movies and TV shows. I chose ones with subtitles at first. This helped me understand the context and pick up new phrases. I also listened to English music, trying to sing along to improve my pronunciation. Tip 4. Keep a journal. I began writing a journal in English. At first, my sentences were simple, but I gradually started using more complex structures. Writing helped me organize my thoughts and learn new vocabulary. Tip 5. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. I realized that making mistakes was part of learning. Whenever someone corrected me, I saw it as an opportunity to improve. I became more comfortable speaking without fear of errors. As the months passed, I noticed significant progress. I could have conversations easily and even made friends who supported my learning journey. Looking back, I realized that the key to my success was staying motivated and embracing every opportunity to practice. By the time I returned home, I was proud of how far I had come. I had not only learned English, but also gained valuable experiences and friendships.
A young man's journey to learning English in the United States. Once upon a time, there was a young man named Carlos who moved from Mexico to the United States with a dream to master the English language. He arrived in Los Angeles, excited but also nervous about the challenges ahead. At first, Carlos struggled. He could understand a few words but found it hard to speak. To improve, he enrolled in an English language school. His teachers were kind and encouraged him to practice every day. In class, he made friends from various countries, and together they formed a study group. They would often practice speaking during lunch breaks, sharing stories about their cultures. Eager to immerse himself in the language, Carlos decided to explore the city. He visited local cafes and parks, where he practiced ordering food and asking for directions. One day, he struck up a conversation with a barista at a coffee shop. Although he stumbled over his words, the barista was patient and helped him with pronunciation. That small interaction gave Carlos a boost of confidence. To further enhance his learning, Carlos started watching English movies and TV shows with subtitles. At first, he struggled to follow along, but soon he began to pick up new vocabulary and phrases. He laughed at the jokes and felt a sense of accomplishment when he understood the plot. As time passed, Carlos made friends with some locals. They invited him to join them for weekend outings, like hiking and attending concerts. With every interaction, his English improved. He learned to joke and share stories, feeling more at home in the language. 1 year later, Carlos was amazed at how far he had come. He could converse fluently and had built meaningful connections. Looking back, he realized that every challenge had shaped his journey. Learning English in the United States was not just about the language, it was about embracing new experiences and building friendships. Carlos was no longer just a young man in a foreign country. He had become part of a vibrant community.
Title: Learning English in Canada. In a small town in Canada, Maria had just moved from Mexico. She was excited but also nervous about learning English. Determined to improve her language skills, she enrolled in a local language school. On her first day, Maria met her classmates from different countries. They shared stories and practiced speaking together, creating a supportive environment. Her teacher, Mr. Johnson, encouraged everyone to participate in conversations, helping Maria gain confidence. Every Saturday, the school organized language exchange events where students could practice English with native speakers. Maria met a friendly Canadian named Liam, who loved to explore. They went on weekend hikes, during which Maria practiced her English while enjoying the beautiful nature. Maria also immersed herself in Canadian culture. She watched movies, listened to music, and read books in English. She even joined a local book club, where discussions helped her expand her vocabulary. Over time, Maria noticed her skills improving. She felt more comfortable speaking and understood more during conversations. Her newfound confidence allowed her to make friends and connect with her community. By the end of the year, Maria had not only learned English but also found a second home in Canada. She realized that with determination and the support of others, she could overcome any challenge. Emma had always been drawn to stories, the whispered tales of her grandmother, the bold headlines that sparked her curiosity, and the vibrant narratives of everyday life. Growing up in a small town, she dreamed of becoming a journalist, capturing the world's truths one article at a time. After graduating college, she landed an internship at a local newspaper. Excitement surged through her as she clutched her press badge for the first time. Her mentor, an experienced journalist named Mr. Harper, warned her, "The best stories often hide in plain sight. You just have to look closely." One afternoon, while covering a town meeting, Emma noticed a woman sitting alone, scribbling in a notebook. Intrigued, she approached her during the break. The woman, Mrs. Lacey, shared her story, a fight to save the town's only library from closure due to budget cuts. Emma's heart raced. This was the story she had been searching for. She spent the next few weeks gathering interviews, piecing together the community's love for the library and the memories tied to its shelves. Her passion ignited further as she learned about the library's role in nurturing young minds and bringing people together. When her article was published, the town rallied in support. Petitions circulated, and town meetings filled with concerned citizens. Emma watched as her words sparked change, and for the first time, she felt the power of journalism in her hands. Her piece was featured on the front page, and she stood in awe as her story unfolded into a movement. Mrs. Lacey thanked her, tears in her eyes, saying, "You gave us a voice." In that moment, Emma knew she had found her purpose. She wasn't just a journalist, she was a storyteller, a catalyst for change. And as the sun set over her small town, she realized that her journey had just begun. Once upon a time, in a small village bordering a vast forest, lived a curious boy named Leo. One sunny afternoon, driven by a sense of adventure, he wandered deeper into the woods than he ever had before. The trees towered above him, their leaves whispering secrets in the wind. As he explored, he marveled at the vibrant flowers and the chorus of birds. But as the sun began to dip behind the horizon, Leo realized he had strayed too far from home. Panic crept in as he turned to retrace his steps, only to find the familiar paths had vanished. The forest, once enchanting, now felt daunting. With dusk settling, he spotted a small clearing and decided to rest. He took a deep breath, trying to quell his fear, and listened to the sounds of the forest. In the distance, he heard a gentle stream. Summoning his courage, he decided to follow the sound, hoping it would lead him to safety. As he walked, he stumbled upon a family of deer, their eyes wide with curiosity but not fear. Leo felt a sense of calm wash over him. He continued on, guided by the moonlight that filtered through the trees. Suddenly, he noticed a soft glow ahead. It was a small cottage, nestled among the trees. Knocking hesitantly, he was greeted by an elderly woman with kind eyes. She welcomed him in, offering warm tea in a place by the fire. As they talked, Leo shared his adventure and fears. The woman listened, nodding knowingly. She revealed that she had once been lost in the forest too, but kindness and bravery had guided her home. The next morning, after a hearty breakfast, the woman offered to help Leo find his way back. They followed the stream together, and soon they reached a familiar path. The sun shone brightly, illuminating the way home. When Leo finally emerged from the forest, he felt a newfound strength within him. He rushed home, where his worried parents embraced him. He shared his adventure, thankful for the wise woman who had helped him. From that day on, Leo never feared the forest again. He had learned that even in moments of uncertainty, courage and kindness could light the way home.